And hi everyone, thank you very much for being here and giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm here because I work at the intersection of marketing technology. As Bonnie mentioned, I am a HubSpot user in my organization, Integrate, which is a software company. I'm also a millennial, and one of my passions is working with millennials to help them overcome some of the challenges that they face adapting to work in a corporate environment. So that was actually the catalyst for writing the book that Bonnie was holding up there called Millennial Reboot. It's a playbook for millennials on sort of figuring out the corporate world. So if you have any questions afterwards, and as she mentioned, Rob has a couple of copies available for sale, and Bonnie will give a couple out as prizes too. So the presentation will focus on the intersection of those two things, millennials and then also marketing technology. And we really are an automated generation. I'm on Twitter, if you guys. So making sure everyone's on the same page, we're gonna start with what is a marketing technologist and then also define millennials quickly before getting into why millennials are so well suited for these roles and how you can kind of optimize and help your millennials succeed in the organization, or if you are a millennial, how you can succeed within the organization, particularly through one of these roles. And then finally, a lot of you are marketing to millennials, so how can you use technology to reach them more effectively? So how many of you would consider yourselves a marketing technologist? Okay. How many of you use HubSpot? Okay, so then you're all marketing technologists, or at least you're well on your way to being there. So if any of you had a chance to read the blog post that Bonnie posted prior to this meetup, I wrote, the rules of marketing are changing. We don't live in a world anymore where Mad Men ideas get thrown out to clients who are 4 cocktails deep at lunch. That you have to be able to justify now and prove that your marketing is working in order to keep getting budget, or your department could face getting cut. Digital marketing, which is actually supposed to pass TV marketing in terms of spend this year, digital marketing has made it even easier for us to prove what's working as long as we take the time to step back and look at the data. And the good thing about that is it helps level the playing field for a lot of millennials who may not have the clout within the agency or the clout with clients to say, I know what I'm doing, this idea will work. They can say, I know what I'm doing, this idea did work, here's the data to prove it. So I think it's really given us a foothold and an opportunity to earn a seat at the table, and that's really exciting to me. And what we have to be careful of though is that a lot of people in our generation have made a career out of marketing automation, and I was talking to Lisa. Where's Lisa? Are you? I don't think it's here. Oh, you're completely behind the chair. I was talking to her about this just earlier this evening, but how if you stay too focused and too in the weeds on a specific piece of technology, you can get too specialized and kind of box yourself in. So I also want to make sure that that doesn't happen to people who are using marketing automation, that you're not so focused on the automation that you don't think about the rest of the technology that you can be bringing into your organization to help move either the marketing team forward or possibly even the entire organization. So as tech keeps evolving and there's more and more to manage, how do you avoid becoming a marketing janitor? So this is a good term for it, I think. So any of you spend like a lot of time cleaning up spreadsheets or formatting files before you load them into marketing automation? I see lots of nods in the back. It feels like a marketing janitor sometimes. So ways to get beyond this, evolve beyond efficiency and automation. That's really the promise of marketing automation, but it can do more than that as well. So think bigger and long-term and think about the strategy. And master marketing orchestration. And that's the word I like to use for thinking about everything that happens within the organization, within the marketing team, but then also beyond. I do a lot of work with sales. Bonnie always talks about sales and marketing need to work together and be aligned. Also finance probably plays a role in some of the marketing decisions. So working with them and thinking about how you can holistically purchase tech or get rid of tech even to make the organization more efficient is what I would consider marketing orchestration. Also, don't forget to be creative. Marketing is about creativity too, and that is going to be one of your best ways to get out of the weeds, get out of the spreadsheet hell, get past just using the marketing platform and be able to execute creative, big marketing ideas. And finally, make sure you be human. It's really easy when you're looking at data all day or you're managing technology all day to forget that that you're still human. The people you are marketing to outside of your organization are human, and they want to talk to a human. But also inside your organization, when you are presenting or when you're talking to your boss or when you're planning the next steps for the team, make sure that there's a human element too, and that you're not just about the data. The data can help you make decisions and support your decisions, but the data is not the decision. So keep that in mind. And quickly, this one's fast. Who are millennials? 1982 to 2000. I'm sure there's a lot of you in this room. 27% of the population. We're nearly half the workforce, and soon we will be more than half the workforce. So chances are good you either are a millennial or you work with a millennial. Some of you might work for a millennial. So it's important, but the good news is millennials are uniquely equipped for roles in marketing technology, which I think everyone here at least touches in some way or the other, or you came for the snacks. So why are we so uniquely suited? Well, we're tech savvy. I don't really have to go into detail on that. Everyone says that's all they do. They look at their cell phones all day. But this also means we like technology, and when you like working in something, you're inherently more willing to put effort into it. So that is already a step up. And actually, we are so into technology that I have a stat, 42% of millennials would actually consider quitting a job if the technology was below their level of acceptable. So we really care about technology. And what we're gonna do then is, as we're also obsessed with efficiency, we're going to do everything we can to bring that technology to the organization, to make the organization more efficient, more effective, figure out how we can do things bigger and better and serve our customers better. So along with the technology, it also enables us to prove, which I mentioned earlier, prove what's working. We're naturally skeptical. We want proof. We want metrics. Digital metrics have really given us the opportunity to say this is working. We can justify this spend. When budget cuts loom and they're like, oh, marketing's just a cost center. We're not just a cost center anymore, and we can show it in the data. So that's really something we like. And then flexibility greater than the corner office. 74% of millennials want a flexible work schedule. And this doesn't mean I work only when I want to work. It means if I need to leave at 3 p.m. to go to the dentist one day and sign back on later, I want to be able to do that. It's just what most people I think would consider a reasonable expectation. But the 9 to 5 requirements of being in the office are going away because so much of the work can be done via a computer or done remotely. I work for a company that's headquartered in Scottsdale out of my home office. My whole job is done remotely, so is most of our company. So marketing technology is really caters to that value of flexibility and the fact that we don't really care about the corner office. We want a work-life balance instead. So, of course, there's a lot of things that we suck at. So, next section, we could use some help at some things, and there's 2 ways to attack that. And regardless of who's to blame, there's ways managers can help millennials become better at things, and then there's ways millennials can help themselves take the initiative. So why is this important? Millennial turnover costs $30.5 billion a year to the U.S. economy, and millennials are 64% less likely to switch jobs if they're engaged. And remember, we're nearly half the workforce, so it's probably going to be important to your company that that your millennials are engaged and able to make the most of their skills. So first, to the managers in the room or to the people who work with millennials, 72% of millennials feel like their schooling did not prepare them for the workforce. So they're already nervous when they get there and they're working for you. So giving them an opportunity, plus everyone knows that we got a trophy for everything. So we never failed at anything. We always, but building an environment where you can fail quickly as long as you learn from things, that's something that would be invaluable that a manager can give to millennials. So I'm not talking let them run the whole company, but give them their projects, let them have the ability to make decisions in their area of expertise, fail fast, learn from it, grow, and make it a learning opportunity. Don't dismiss, this goes similar to that, don't dismiss creative out-of-the-box ideas as idealistic. Maybe it is idealistic, but what can you learn from their crazy out-of-the-box idea that they gave you? Is there a piece of that that can be taken and developed into something? I mean, Facebook didn't come from a tiny little idea that was not that interesting. It was revolutionary. So think, the big ideas are where you really have to pull the good stuff that keeps the company moving forward. And then keep your jaded perspective to yourself. That's something that comes up a lot. People are like, oh, my boss just complains all the time. But we really, I think most of us have a positive outlook and we're excited about our future and saying, oh, this company's gonna fail or whatever. Like, we don't need to hear that. That's not gonna be productive, obviously. And then stop referencing our age. We don't talk about how old you guys are, so don't talk about how young we are. And it's really not what matters. Experience is what matters, and I think age is just something that doesn't need to be in business conversations. And it's not a compliment to be like, oh, you're so young. You don't take me seriously then. So how can millennials, now we're talking to millennials now, how can we make a better impact? Some of this is really important. Most of this revolves around communication, which is great because it means it's highly solvable. Adapt your communication style to the person you're talking to. So if your boss would rather have a meeting in person, and they're going to be more receptive than if you send them an email with a request, have the meeting in person. This goes for kind of everything in life. When you want to ask your parents for something, use the channel of communication that they prefer. I'm sure you all know it goes much better that way. So just keep that in mind in the workplace too. And while you're at it, exercise empathy. Change is scary for a lot of people, even if it's changed into like something that's so obviously better, or even if it's changed into something that's like really not that different, still change, but think of it from their perspective and really make sure that you're communicating how it benefits them in everything that you do. And considering the big picture, not just thinking about this will fix my problem that's this week. Think about how is this going to help the company in 6 months? How is it going to help the company a year down the road? How will it help with this project that's not even in my department but can benefit them too? That's really a huge benefit, especially if you're advocating for tech. And remember, we mentioned this, don't get too caught up in the weeds. Obviously, there will be days where you're in spreadsheets all day. It happens, but make sure that you set and schedule time to step back and go to those big strategy planning meetings, or time to look at the data and see what is actually working, and then present that data to your boss. And that's actually, make sure your boss knows what you're up to. No boss has the time to know every single thing you're doing. So if you're expecting a round of applause or a pat on the back for a project that you succeeded at, or if you're expecting a promotion even, if you haven't communicated why you deserve this to your boss, and ideally you're doing this regularly, but if you forget and you only do it once a year, come to that meeting prepared with, here's what I set out to accomplish, here's what I did accomplish, here's the extra things I accomplished, and here's the things that I got stuck on because there was some roadblock that prohibited it from getting done, whether it was time or lack of resources or what, because then they can help you overcome that roadblock in the next chunk of time. And last one, no pointing out problems without solutions. This is like maybe my golden rule, because it does two things. It keeps you from looking like you just always have a problem and no solution, obviously. Trying, whenever something goes wrong, to already have a plan in place for how you're going to fix it before you have to communicate it to your boss or your team. Generally just makes you look better prepared and more on your game. I think you can understand that. 2, it keeps you from complaining about stuff that's out of your control. So if you have a problem and you're like, but I don't know the solution and it's not really my job to find the solution, okay, maybe I shouldn't be focused on that at all anyway. I think a really basic example of this is, oh, the coffee we have in the office sucks. It's really crappy coffee. Well, great, but are you gonna solve that? I mean, maybe you are. If you're gonna go to Starbucks for everyone, great. But it's probably not something that's worth your time and worth complaining about. Just bring your own coffee in the morning and move on. So I think that really helps you stay focused on what's important. So take away from the last 2 slides, the biggest one, as I mentioned, it's communication. So I really recommend, if you're a millennial or a manager, setting up time with each other that's regularly scheduled, setting expectations for what that meeting will be so that you can ensure that nobody's feeling attacked or getting upset or anything, but that you can really have a productive meeting and move forward together, and figure out how you're going to communicate day to day in a way that works for both of you, and then stick to those check-ins too. So it's really about having a framework for communication. Last section here, using MarTech to better reach millennials. Has to be frictionless. So who loves inbound? Like, should be everyone here, right? Yeah. All right, real quick check-in. Inbound is great. Inbound's awesome. It's what most of us are here for. Just be careful. It's unrealistic to expect that all of your customers are going to come to you. You still have to go out and find customers. They're not all going to come find you. So keeping that in mind, just like everybody, we don't like to be sold. But maybe more so, we really want the process to feel authentic. And millennials value reviews and peer endorsements and peer feedback more than testimonials on a website, or more than proof points on a website. We are like, that's too easy to fake. So while you're thinking about how you can design your website, or while you're thinking about your next marketing program, just keep in mind, how can you get somebody else to tell us how great you are? How can you get your best customers to tell your prospects how great you are? That way you don't have to say anything. Your customers sell your product for you. So that's really a powerful thing to keep in mind. Influencer marketing and customer advocacy. There's a lot of technology popping up. Influitive is one of them that I'm a little familiar with, but look into the technologies that help enable that to happen at scale, so that you don't have to have your best customer on a reference call every week or every month. You can use these tools to help support that as well. And relationships still matter. That human communication still matters. So use the marketing technology, and we know that a lot of stuff is automated and everyone's kind of okay with that at this point. Like, your Amazon cart tells you things you might like and you're like, that's helpful. But when it's time for human communication, whether that's when something goes wrong or when you have too detailed of questions to answer via the internet, make sure that you have the right steps in place for that human intervention to happen. And going back to communicating on your boss's terms, communicate on our terms. I recently purchased a home and I was looking for homeowners insurance, and I emailed 3 companies or did their website form, and I said, here's what I need, here's as much info as I think you need, tell me what else you need, and I prefer to communicate via email. I didn't give them my phone number. I don't answer my phone. I'm a millennial. And 2 of the 3 emailed back and said, can you please call us to further answer some questions? And the 3rd one emailed back and said, oh, we just need to know these 2 additional things. I sent those things back. They sent back a quote and it was done. I didn't even call the other companies. I'm like, no, I said, these are my terms. I'm buying from you. Communicate on your customer's terms. And maybe I would have gotten a better deal with one of them, but down the road, when I wanted to change something or talk to them again and I would have had to go to their terms to do that, I felt much more comfortable with the company, moving forward with the company that respected my request in the first place. So, I have a great example for making it frictionless too. Has everyone been to the Whole Foods that's next door? Yeah. Well, 2 doors down. We were in there and we got some groceries and then we wanted to go have a beer at the bar afterwards. And there was like 1 seat at the bar, not 2, and that was enough friction that we left and went home. So that's beer. So if you think that we are not serious about the making it frictionless, we want beer. It really has to be a smooth process for purchasing technology, and I think you're gonna encounter more and more of that, but how can you make it a good experience for your prospects, an easy one, meet them where they are? It's really important. And of course, add value. I don't really have anything more to say than add value. And try not to be creepy about it. So, like I said, we do expect automation. We know that automation makes personalization at scale possible, and we understand that. But make sure you're doing it with us in mind and adding value, not just sending us something that might be a fit, perhaps, because we did something and there's really not a great correlation. So, done with us in mind, adding value, really important. Does everyone get this? Okay. So there's some puzzled looks, like, what's going on up there? I'm sorry if you can't read it in the back. I'll send it to you later. So this is just, I'll leave you with this. The future generations really aren't going to get any less enthusiastic about automation, less enthusiastic about technology and efficiency. But that's really a good thing for companies because it's going to take us out of this stagnant place that maybe a couple of governments might be sitting in, and get us forward and moving and advancing the company efficiently. So I really look forward to talking with some of you guys afterwards and hearing some of your ideas on how millennials can get better at things, or how organizations can get better at managing millennials, or just how any of us can get better at marketing tech in general. So find me afterwards. If you want a copy of the book, Rob has them for sale. They're like $16. We take Venmo and PayPal, personal checks like those. If you write a check, you might get lucky that we never cash it. Just so really quickly, Bonnie also mentioned I work for a company called Integrate. We sit on top of marketing automation, so if you are doing any sort of demand gen efforts, third-party lead gen events, anything that is not leads coming in directly through your website and into your marketing automation, that's where our sweet spot is. So we help take all of those leads, collect them directly from the providers, format them, append them, clean out the crap ones, send them back, do your returns for you if that's familiar to anyone, and then put it right into your marketing automation or CRM. So people come to us when they have bad leads, they don't know what's working, spreadsheet hell, or they just can't scale their demand gen efforts fast enough because the team can't process the spreadsheets fast enough, for example. So so that's our company logo. If anyone has any questions about that, I'm also happy to discuss that. So.